Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Jango Fett's Starship. Remember, if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like and subscribe button. It is a great way to help support the channel. But let's first go over some facts about the set and look over the box. This set was released on August the 1st of 2025 at an original retail price of $69.99 USD. It is given set number 75433, is rated for ages 9 and up, and has 707 pieces, which gives this an original price per piece of 10 cents. The set does come with 3 minifigures, 2 of which are exclusive at the time of recording. On the side of the box, you get the exact same image of the Slave 1 that you get on the front. Taking a look at the back of the box, we get to see the Slave 1 on the landing pad of Camino, and I just love the artwork here. And in the top right hand corner, they've highlighted a couple play/display features. Opening up your box is quite an easy experience. Simply push in these 2 pull tabs here and pull to reveal the contents of your box. Inside of your box, you will find a total of 6 numbered bags, 1 relatively small sticker sheet, and lastly, your instruction manual. Taking a look at the final product, this is definitely a set I have mixed feelings on because I like the set, but I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the scale of this particular set. But I'll save my remainder of my thoughts till the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But this video is to help you, the viewer, decide, is this worth the $70 US they're asking for? And the best place to start to decide that is going to be to go over these 3 minifigures. Our first minifigure to go ahead and look at is this brand new Jango Fett. And yes, he is different than the one in the UCS set, and we'll do a comparison to him later. Now this figure has some fairly detailed torso, leg printing, even has toe printing and some nice hip printing as well. Here on the helmet, they did include a little bit of printing that generally goes unnoticed, but I did want to highlight it here because I think it adds a nice splash of detail. They do give this minifigure a jetpack, and now a lot of people have disputes about this jetpack, saying it's the wrong color. I guess it's open to interpretation of which scene you think this is based off of. Here's how that minifigure would look like with a more silver toned jetpack. Underneath of that jetpack, they do include some printing that adds a lot of nice detail to the figure. Underneath of that helmet, they do give him a very nicely detailed face printing, and they include a hair piece for when he has his helmet off. Now, a lot of people wanted this secondary face print to have a headset, and I don't disagree with them. I think it would have been very nice, especially since they include the hairpiece for him to be in the cockpit. When it comes to the comparison to the UCS figure, the legs, the torso, helmet, and face print are all identical. The only difference is going to be this immaculate arm printing. Now, there is a debate online whether or not LEGO should have included the arm printing version of the figure in this set, and I am of the opinion that yes, they should have. I understand that people want exclusive minifigures in a UCS set, but I would honestly argue that Llama Su would have been a better exclusive minifigure to have in the UCS set. Speaking of Llama Su, this is a phenomenal minifigure that I think is absolutely incredible. Now, this is the second Kaminoan that we have ever seen from LEGO Star Wars, the first of which was Taun We from Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter. Aside from the obvious printing differences, there is actually a difference when it comes to the headpiece. First of which is going to be the collar on the neck and that mohawk-like fin on Llama Su. The figure also does have some very nice torso back printing. And our last minifigure is going to be young Boba Fett. Now, there is a ton of controversy around this figure as well when it comes to the coloration of both his torso, his legs, and the chosen hairpiece as well. This figure is surrounded in controversy. Now, as someone who doesn't hold their minifigure up to the screen to check for inaccuracies, I think that this is generally a passable Boba Fett. My only complaints are actually the hairpiece. I don't think it suits him very well, and I would have loved to see dual molded legs on this figure as well. Now, with all of that being said, he does have some decent torso printing, and he has a nice dual-sided face print, and that nice torso printing does continue onto the back of the figure. Now, turning our attention back to the Slave 1, there is a few details and play features to actually go over. The first of which is actually the display stand / cargo cart that this set comes with. And this thing doesn't look too half bad, and it slides around on surfaces fairly easily. Now, that is due to the tiling work they did on the underside of the cart. On the front of the cart, they do give you a place for a minifigure to stand and operate that cart, and they can actually grab the joysticks in order to control the cart. On the back of the cart, there are 2 storage clips to store Jango Fett's blasters. We love this. We love to see storage of accessories. In order to turn this into a display stand, you simply lift this up, which is on some hinges. Now, attaching the Slave 1 to the display stand is incredibly easy. It just simply lays into place, and it gives the ship a very nice looking angle that looks great on display. Here's another angle of me putting the Slave 1 on the stand. It is incredibly easy to attach, attach and very easy to take off. Now taking a look at the back of the Slave 1, I think they did a pretty good job at adding a nice amount of greebling without it being too overboard. I do love the use of the trans yellow pieces on the back for the thrust, although I do wish they were backed with white in order to make that thrust really pop. One of the cool things about most of the Slave 1s is that the wings will rotate whenever you lift up the ship. That doesn't seem to be the case with this one, and I know some people are going to say you tighten the pieces too tight, but I've tried to loosen them and I still can't get them to rotate with the ship. Maybe that's a failing on my part, but I tried to get this to work for about 10 minutes. Our first play features the seismic charge. If you push on this piece here, it actually drops out the seismic charges out of the back. And here's a different angle of me dropping the seismic charges. This set does include a flight or carry handle on the very back of the ship. It is on the smaller side of handles, but it definitely gets the job done and is incredibly easy to hold. But does it pass the swoosh test? I certainly think it does. I think especially if you were to help support the ship with, say, your pinky like this, it definitely helps keep this ship a bit more stable than just holding it by the handle. Now the handle is incredibly stable. As you can see, I'm being pretty vigorous with it. It isn't going to break apart your set or break the handle off the ship. It is very well made. What took me surprised about the cockpit is that you can actually fit both young Boba Fett and Jango Fett into the cockpit with enough room to where it doesn't feel like both of the minifigures are overly cramped. And surprisingly, you don't have to take any of Jango Fett's accessories off in order to achieve this. And at least for this scale, I don't think they look half bad inside of the cockpit. Of course, it's not going to be the same thing as the UCS set, but for this scale, I think they look pretty good. On the front of the ship, there are in fact 4 stud launchers, 2 per side, and if you don't know how these work, you simply push down on the gray handle and it fires out a stud. Now for this set size, there are a decent amount of stickers. Now every single one of them has a color matching issue, so I'm only going to say that once. LEGO, you really need to fix that. But otherwise, these stickers aren't bad. They're very easy to place and add a lot of nice detail to the set. Now the boarding ramp does have a function, which is to reload the seismic charges. You lift it up and plop in your seismic charge. Now when it comes to the overall shaping and design of this set, I think they did a pretty good job. They added a nice amount of tiling and some greebling, and generally the angles look pretty good. Just speaking from the aesthetic standpoint, this set does look rather nice. So if you wanted a Jango Fett Slave 1 and didn't want to pay $300 for the UCS version, or didn't want to pay $1,000+ for the 2002 version, then this is your go-to set. And overall, it's not a bad set in my opinion, which I'll have more thoughts at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Now LEGO has made a Slave 1 in this scale before. They made Boba Fett's in 2021, and it is incredibly similar in sense of scale. The Boba Fett version came with 2 minifigures, whereas the Jango Fett version comes with 3. There is of course a $20 difference. Both of these sets do include a secondary build that is a cart that doubles as a stand. Both of them are incredibly similar when it comes to the details on the back of the ship as well when it comes to greebling and thrust. Both of them are incredibly similar when it comes to their size, with Jango Fett's being ever so slightly bigger. And that is mostly due to having to accommodate 2 minifigures in the cockpit instead of just 1. Even the building techniques used on both of the ships are incredibly similar, but the Jango Fett Slave 1 has a lot of more modern pieces to help achieve a much more slick look. Both of these sets do include a carry or flight handle on the back of the ship. They're built in almost identical ways and function identically. This set has another great pairing on store shelves right now, which is Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter. Not only with this combo do you get 2 amazing and iconic ships, but you also get 6 incredible minifigures. Using both of these sets, you can definitely recreate a bunch of scenes that we saw on Kamino. And for me personally, when I think about Jango Fett, I always think about that landing pad on Kamino. Or you can recreate the scene of them in the asteroid fields of Geonosis. Either way, this is an amazing combo of sets that we haven't seen on store shelves since 2002. That's right, the last time we saw Jango Fett Slave 1 and Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter on store shelves together in playscale format was in 2002. At least in my opinion, it definitely shouldn't have taken LEGO 13 years in order to recreate this iconic combo. But if you can afford to get these combos, I would highly recommend it. So with all of that being said, what are my thoughts on this set, and is it worth the $70 they're asking for? And at least in my opinion, no, I do not think it's worth the $70. Had this been priced at $50, I think I would definitely say yes, this is worth the money. So if you see a 30% off or more sale, I would highly recommend picking this set up. The build in this set is absolutely phenomenal. phenomenal. It is very fun to play with. It has a nice couple of fun play features and is very sleek and very well tiled off. Although the real highlight of this set to me is going to be the minifigures, even though I think Lamassu should have been in the UCS set and that the Jango Fett should have had arm printing. That way people with less money can afford to get the best Jango Fett minifigure there is, and it gives the UCS crowd an exclusive minifigure that isn't a highly sought after character. I give this set an 8 out of 10. Fix the minifigure situation, including the young Boba Fett, and fix the stickers, and you'd have a perfect set on your hands. But that's all I have to say on this set. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you found this video helpful for your purchasing decisions. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it greatly helps out the channel. And join the Discord, which is linked below. But until next time, stay bricked up and enjoy what you love.